Have you heard of a VA assumable loan? Hi, I'm Casi Carey, your relocation specialist. And frankly, we work a lot with VA loans. We work with relocation buyers, and we live and specialize right here in Vienna, Virginia. So, our team at the Carey Collective, normally when we talk to people about a VA assumable, it goes one of two ways. Some buyers are like, we really want a VA assumable. Totally get it. It's incredibly attractive if someone purchased a home in any time when the rates were super low or refinanced when the rates were really low. Getting a VA assumable is very, very attractive because you're like, wait, I can get a 2.5% interest rate. I am here for it. When you're at 2.5%, your purchase power expands as opposed to when it's at 6%. You can sometimes feel defeated, and I totally get it. However, there are some things you need to know about a VA assumable. One, they're not as common as people think. I will get buyers that reach out and they're like, we really just want a VA assumable. And the thing with that is they're not so attractive to a seller. Why in the world is that? So when you do a VA assumable, you don't get to choose the lender you're working with. The lender you work with is the lender that services the VA loan already. So Rocket Mortgage is someone, M&T Bank. I've had a Truist. Personally, we did a VA assumable on our Arlington home. We sold it as an assumable. And think of all the other big bank loan officers, the loan servicers, that's usually who holds the loan when you're ready to sell or ready to buy. So you do not get to choose your lender when you do an assumable. Whoever the seller has as the loan servicer is who you have to work with. Now, closing timelines for assumables are minimum of 45 days. They usually are closer to 60 days. So you do have to be flexible in when you need to move in, what your timing is like, because let's say you're relocating to Northern Virginia and you need to be here, it's now end of May. If you need to be here in June and moved into your house, doing an assumable is not going to work for your timeline if you won't go into temporary housing. So if you don't have willing to be in a hotel, stay with family, stay with friends, whoever, if you don't have a place to land before the assumable close, you're kind of homeless. So we've got to be mindful of our timeline. And two, another thing, because of that time, if a seller wants to go purchase their next home, but they need that VA loan to do that, it puts them in a pickle. So they wouldn't be able to close for, let's say, 60 days. So if it's May, then you're looking at closing in July. Now, guess what happens to inventory in July? It's not a lot. So the seller is not going to look so positively on that because they just don't know when it's going to close. And if it puts them in the months where there's not as much inventory, then again, it puts them in a negative position. So sometimes you're going to think I'm crazy, but agents use VA assumable loan as a marketing tool. Don't get me wrong. I like to do it too when I need to. But it's used as a marketing tool to try to get more people in the house so that way they can fall in love with it and then maybe actually write an offer without the assumable loan attached to it. What else do you need to know about a VA assumable? Well, here's the thing. Once you go under contract with an assumable loan, the seller has got to do all the work to get the loan servicer to move this package forward. So there's an application package. The seller starts filling in the information, then it's going to go to you as the buyer. You have to be quick and efficient with your filling out of the application. Plus, you have to stay on top of the loan servicer to be like, hey, where are we? Did we miss anything? What else do you need? What's going on? How do we keep this moving? I'm not kidding when I tell you, when we sold our home with a VA assumable loan, we did the crazy thing, because why not do everything at once? And we sold our home with a VA assumable, but went under contract also on a purchase. But we needed our VA loan to close the purchase, and the purchase was super competitive. So we were in such a tight timeline. Frankly, it was super stressful in our household. I was calling Truist Bank every single day. I'm not exaggerating. Every single day. I was like, I need you to look at the file. I need you to look at the file. I need you to look at the file. I need you to tell me what you need, how to get this through, because you have to get it, the assumable close, and then the release of entitlement also, which doesn't always happen super quickly. So, and by quickly, I mean, it's not always like the next day, right? I needed it to be the next day. And so this is the reason I am educated in these VA assumables, is because I went through it and I put myself in a terrible situation. It worked out, but I would not recommend my sellers go into the same situation because it's just so stressful. Buying and selling at the same time is stressful. Doing an assumable while buying is super stressful. So we made it, but I want you to understand these things when you go into this idea of like, we want an assumable loan or we want to sell our house with an assumable, because if you are the seller, you have to work with your loan servicer to get the packet, to get the information, to connect everyone. Then the buyer, if you are the buyer, you have to work quickly, reach out to the loan servicer and make sure everything continues to move forward. It's just not as easy and clean cut as it looks. And then here's the deal. If you're looking at a house new to market, let's say it hits on a Thursday and you're like, Cassie, it has a VA assumable, let's go see it. I will absolutely go see it, but you need to understand that the seller is not going to find the VA assumable offer as attractive as a conventional offer or even a traditional VA offer. And that is because of the closing timeline. If a seller has to wait 60 days compared to, hey, we can close in 14 or we can even close in 30, plus the unpredictability of the VA assumption, plus the work that gets put on them to get through the assumption, odds are they're going to lean to the conventional or traditional VA offer, not the assumable. So it's just not always as easy as it seems. Now, here's where it will work to your benefit. If you are willing to buy a not perfect house that has been on the market for even 2 weeks, that's when the sellers will start to really consider the VA assumable, because an offer is better than no offer. So if you're willing to not take that perfect house that comes on the market and gets multiple offers in weekend one, but you're willing to wait and see what happens. And then if it's on the market for 2+ weeks and there's a VA assumable, then you try to take your stab at it. Right? You've got nothing to lose at that point. I just think that sometimes VA buyers are under this impression that VA assumables are easy and that sellers often want to do a VA assumable, and that's just not the case. And mostly because in a fast market, when things go super quickly, an assumable offer is just not as easy for a seller, even if the terms are better. It's not always as easy and smooth for the seller. And if you're on the market that long, you have more of a risk that something could go wrong or something might happen. That's from the seller's perspective. But if you have VA eligibility, plus, here's the last thing I need to tell you about, cash is king. It is not common or easy to finance the difference between the loan balance and the sales price. So let's walk through this together. You bought a house, let's say $800,000. You've paid the loan down. Now your balance is $600,000. So your loan balance is $600,000, but you can now sell at, let's say, 1.2. That delta between sales price of 1.2 and your balance of 600,000, that is what bridge needs to be. I don't know what that saying is. You understand. That is the gap that needs to be bridged. So if you have $600,000 and you can pay that down, so then you take on the rest of their loan, you're golden. But the issue is if someone's loan balance is low compared to the sales price and you don't have that cash, now you're entering an even more difficult scenario. So you've got to have cash in an assumable depending on the seller's loan balance and the new sales price. That's really ideally what you have to bring to closing. Now, I do know people have gotten financing for the differences before. It is super difficult. It is not so easy as going to get your own loan, because what happens is then you have 2 mortgages on the home, and the mortgage servicers are like, well, wait, which one's more important? If this person defaults, who's the number 1 spot? Who's the number 2 spot? And a lot of places don't want to be in the number 2 spot. So it's just more challenging if you don't have the cash. I personally have never done one where it's been financed. because of these difficulties. So you can see, again, you want to come for a VA assumable, awesome, let's go for it after it's been on the market for 2 weeks, and if you have a bunch of cash. And by a bunch of cash, I mean, it's how specific of sales price to loan balance, whatever that looks like. I just don't want you to be fooled to be like, yeah, they have a loan balance of 400,000 and the sales price is 1.2, but you don't have that gap. You don't have that gap in cash. It's going to be very, very, very difficult for you to get the financing and for you to get your offer accepted as well. So we are seeing VA assumables happen. I personally did one. It's been 2 years now on our own home, and we do have 2 clients under contract with a VA assumable. So it is possible, but I just want you to understand the challenges and hurdles that you have to get through in order to make that successful. It can absolutely be done. You have to be patient, and cash really is king in this scenario. So if you've been looking at VA assumables, if you're relocating to Northern Virginia and you have questions about using your VA loan, I'd be happy to chat with you through that. Also knowing your different eligibility. Some people own a home somewhere and they want to use the difference in their eligibility for another home. There is a number and magic to that. So you have to make sure what you're writing on, you qualify for before you write on it. So hopefully this was helpful. Love me some VA loans. And I mean, I like when my clients get VA assumables for them. I like when they get a 2.5% interest rate. That's incredible. But it is a little bit more detailed than you can expect. So if you have questions, please reach out. If you're, again, relocating to Northern Virginia, please send me a message. You can text me 513-284-5396. You can email me, Cassie@thecareycollective.com. You can send me a message on Instagram @Casi Carey. We're on LinkedIn. We're on Facebook, obviously on YouTube. Wherever you're following your social media, just reach out. We're here to help you. And if we don't know the answer, we're going to find someone who does.